Okay, we're going to take a little look at string bending today. We're going to look at some of the techniques involved to make sure that you get a bend that's in tune and that no strings are ringing out. It's really aimed at people that are just starting out with improvising, soloing, or maybe if you've been playing a little bit longer but you struggle to pitch your bends, maybe you underbend or you overbend, or maybe when you bend on certain strings you're getting other strings ringing out. So I'm going to give you a few tips to help tidy those elements up. And I'll show you a couple of different types of bends too towards the end of the lesson. Now string bends are a massive tool for guitarists. It is basically just a way of getting from one note of the scale to another note, but with expression. So I could easily, if I was in A minor, I could just go, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, okay? But if I wanted to add a bit more expression into it, I could bend that note. It's just a way of getting from one note of the scale to another. Now that actually touches on the first exercise that I'm going to show you, which is a way to train the pitching of the bend. So if you're bending for what's known as a tone bend, then you'll be aiming to make the first note that you play sounds like a note that's 2 frets higher, a tone above. Now there are also semitone bends where you only bend 1 fret above. But it's important that you're aware of the scale that you're playing, or the mode, so that you don't use a semitone bend to go out of tune, or you don't use a tone bend to go out of tune if it was supposed to be a semitone there or whatever. Remember, it's a way of getting from one note of the scale to another note of the scale. So this exercise, we're going to play a note, and it could be any note on the fretboard, it doesn't matter, you haven't got to stick to any key in particular, it's just about training your ears. So you're going to, and your fingers. So you play a note first of all, you're then going to go back 2 frets, and you're going to bend that note so that it sounds like that note. So you play. So hopefully if I do an underbend now, so I don't bend it quite high enough, you can hear it doesn't sound right and that you need to go further. And alternatively, you could play that note and maybe you go higher. And you can move that anywhere. I'd recommend just keeping it to the top 3 strings, but you can play a note, back 2. Simple as that. So let's talk about some of the techniques to help the bend sound clean. So one problem that I find comes up quite a lot with people starting out and this kind of stuff is they'll bend a note and other strings start ringing out. So first of all, let's deal with the lower strings. So generally speaking, if I was bending up on the higher string, I'd have my palm resting on the bass strings so that they don't ring out. And if I was bending on, say, the B string here, I'd have to worry about the E string ringing out underneath it. I wouldn't want anything like that happening. So what we're going to do, we're going to bend with our 3rd finger. We're going to have our 2nd finger behind it for support. That will just help give you the power for the bend. And our 1st finger is just going to rest on the strings. So that is actually touching the string above and the string below. And that just keeps it clean, so there's no notes ringing out. You can hear when I do that, there's some funny overtones going on, it's catching other strings. So bend with your 3rd finger, your 2nd one on giving it support, and your 1st finger just resting over to mute the strings, and you've got your palm on your picking hand resting on the bass strings to make sure that none are ringing out. That really is very, very important. It's worth spending some time on that so that it feels second nature, you don't have to think about it, and you just do it every time you bend, because it'll give you much more control over the sound.